G'day and welcome to the Ball Boys Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Today we're doing on the podcast our first ever Dynasty Startup Mock Draft. Let's go!
Jordan open. Chicago with the lead. Bryant to Shaq.
Not a game. We talking about practice.
LeBron James with no regard for human life. Anything's possible.
Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang! Murray for three. Wow! Unbelievable. Making it rain in New York. We the North are now we the champions.
Not the destination, it's the journey. Mamba out.
G'day and welcome again to the Ball Boys Fantasy Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Mitch Casey, and you can find me on Twitter at BallBoysNBA and on Instagram at BallBoysFantasyBasketball. Today, I'm also joined by Rhett Bauer from the Punt Intended Podcast. How are you today, Rhett?
I am fantastic and excited to do a mock draft. It's the first one that I've done with a 45-second clock.
Yeah, so
I'm excited to see how that goes.
The picks are going to be coming hard and fast. This is a 12-team, 9-category, head-to-head Dynasty mock draft. So we're going 18 roster spots deep with a third-round reversal. So I don't think I've done much third-round reversals on my podcast so far. So we'll explain that a little bit more as we go along. I'm going to be picking at pick 7, and Rhett, you're at pick number 3. So we are bit of a muck around getting everyone into the draft here today, but we're going to start the draft now. So at pick number 3, who are you hoping gets to you here, and who do you expect to get you?
I will gladly take one of Jokic or Luka, but I will also gladly take LaMelo at number 3.
Okay.
His stat set and his age is phenomenal and only going to get better.
Okay, so Jokic and Luka comes off the board. Usually I'd expect those two to be pretty consensus top 2. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I had the interesting decision to make between, I think it was in our 30-team Dynasty League. I think Giannis went ahead of those guys, and LaMelo and Jason Tatum were on the board. I think I was at pick 4 in our 30-team league, and I ended up going Jason Tatum over LaMelo. It was more of a head versus heart team for me. I'm a big Celtics fan, but sort of went with Tatum, but I do agree that LaMelo is probably a good top 3 guy in Dynasty. Cade Cunningham goes at pick number 5. What are your thoughts on Cunningham going that early in the first round?
I mean, I think that it's pretty clear Tatum should be above him. Oh my goodness, Ant just went 6. You get your boy Tatum at 7.
There we go.
Crazy.
That's yeah.
But Cade's a monster, and I think he's going to have an excellent fantasy game. So I don't hate the pick. I mean, he's so young that I understand it. Just Tatum is so freaking good already.
Yeah, he's obviously already a first rounder. This is basically where you're drafting him in a redraft league. And he's, 24 still? Yeah, and the second half of last year, we saw him go off. His field goal percentage rose a lot. There's scope for his steal rate to come back up a little bit. And he's just going to be a safe top 10 guy for the next sort of 8 to 10 years, really. Anthony Edwards also went there. He's another guy that's garnering a lot of excitement in redraft leagues at the moment. Oh, when Scotty Barnes goes at number 10. A little bit early for me. Any of these last few picks catching your eye here, Rhett?
I like Halliburton at 9. I think it's very, very possible we see Hallie get into that 7-8 range before the season's over. Chet Holmgren at 11.
Yeah, wow.
That's too early for me.
Me too. It's too early, especially in a 12-team league. I understand it a bit more in a 30-team league where, you're not going to get him basically the second-round pick, and if you really like the guy and you want to go with a bit of a tanking mold, but I feel like you can get some other younger guys that will still produce this year before him. It wouldn't have been too early for me here if he was healthy. But yeah, the fact he's going to miss this entire year, Chicago Blickers is definitely in for a punt team or a rebuilding team there. But where would you have Chet in this kind of
I actually
format?
have him closer to 30.
Yeah.
He's stacked right with Paolo for me. There's just so much uncertainty with rookies. Like, we think they're going to be good, but you just have to bake in some sort of uncertainty, or rather I do. I miss out on the rookies for that, but I take the known quantity of a guy like Devin Booker or Bam Adebayo or Darius Garland, John Morant, Shea, like all those guys over Chet pretty firmly.
Yeah. Where would you have had him before the injury?
I think I had him about 20, like early 20s-ish.
Yep.
The blocks, honestly, as a player, I wouldn't have had him that high, but the blocks are just insane. You can't. His
fantasy value definitely exceeds his. Oh, there goes Evan Mobley. I wanted him to come back to me. Definitely exceeds maybe the risk of his actual NBA ability. Although I am pretty high on Chet personally. I think in my redraft rankings, I had him ranked as sort of like a top 40 guy in his rookie year, and I was being fairly conservative with his stat translation. So I do really like him. But yeah, just the uncertainty with his injuries and things like that. Big guys and feet are never usually a good thing, but yeah. Oh, and there goes Zion. So a few buzz names going off the board. I've got to decide who I'm going to be picking here. Who is still left on the board? Okay, up to me here now. I've been talking a bit too much. Devin Booker went. I might go either I'm looking at Darius Garland, I'm looking at Shea. Shea's injury, I don't think it's super serious, but he's just had a few things going on, so I might go with a Darius Garland here and just lock up some big assists because super valuable there, and to pair with Tatum there, I might be leaning in towards a bit of a punt block build here. So what do you think about Garland at the 6th pick on the second round there? Am I too early there, or what are your thoughts?
I don't think so. I know he's definitely going to get impacted by Mitchell showing up because they didn't trade any like significant rotation players, big shot makers, big shot takers. Like the role is going to be drastically different, but Garland's just good. He's relatively efficient, high volume, a lot of threes, a lot of assists. So I think you're there, and he's quite young. He's another like 2 years younger than SGA. So I think you're all right there.
I didn't. The pressure of the short shot clock got to me a little bit there. I feel like, and also talking at the same time, it's a bit harder on a dynasty mock than some of my other ones. I'm more in tune with the redraft leagues at the moment.
Man,
but
Paolo going at 20.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? I think it's a bit early for Paolo.
I had him queued up for the turn here as my second pick in the turn. So I think that would have been 26, 27-ish. I don't mind it at 20. He's pairing him with Cade, so clearly going very, very, very young.
Yeah.
Which, I don't hate it.
Yeah, there's definitely a strategy there. Who are you looking at to get here on your next pick? So that'll be at pick 22.
I mean, just like going by rankings, I have the option. Oh, there goes Bam. That's what I would have guessed. I have the option to take SGA and pair him with LaMelo, and I think I'm just going to do that. I like it. I don't love Shea where he is right now, just because I think he's very volume driven, and maybe he'll continue to get that volume on OKC. But I'm always hesitant to pick a guy where his like situation's maxed out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But he's still very efficient, good boards, good assists, good scoring, pretty good defensive numbers. So I'm happy to get him out there at 22.
Yeah, at 22, like he's probably going to be, a top 25 guy for the next, at worst, in my opinion, a top 25 guy for the next sort of 6 to 8 years, I would assume. So even if he doesn't hit a higher ceiling than that, I think that's a fine pick there. And obviously the fact that he's assists and good defensive stats to pair along with the Melo Ball, I think that's a great pairing. So we're coming up.
Murray is what I wanted.
DeJounte Murray. I understand you're a big Pacers fan. Is that right?
I am. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I see you're tweeting a lot about DeJounte Murray. Is he just a bit of a personal favorite for you?
Yeah, I got his jersey hanging behind me, Fiesta jersey with the white and the green and the pink. He's just a guy that I was paying attention to him, like coming right off that ACL injury. He's playing like 25 minutes a game, still getting like 5 assists and 5 boards. It's like, man, this guy is so good. And I feel like I was so far ahead of the curve on that. And then it turns out that I was right, because last year was unbelievable as far as fantasy production goes.
Yeah, we all expected
him in like the 4th round.
We expected him to step up, but no, I don't think I could ever have expected the level of jump that he made.
Honestly, I was just, 18-7-7 was what I was projecting, and even I was too low.
Yeah, it was he was a monster. So here's where we've got that third round reversal. So obviously we haven't done much of this on the pod before. I'm hoping TB knows he's up on the clock. I think that might have been an auto draft.
That was auto.
Okay, I'll pause that one and let's undo the last pick and just make sure. And just make sure we're ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah, third round reversal.
It catches some people.
Definitely, especially with the 45-second clock.
Yeah,
for
no,
sure.
I'll be as fair as I can with these guys. So we've undone that last pick. We'll get ourselves back on the clock here.
So what are you thinking here with Embiid and Booker at the turn at 12-13? Who would you go with? So
this is where Embiid and Booker, you could make a decision. You probably could go with a bit of a win now strategy and draft a James Harden, Steph, or Durant. I wouldn't be opposed to doing that. I think that's a really strong team and a really tough team to compete with. So, and he's gone with Bradley Beal.
Ooh.
I don't know. Maybe there's a few guys I'd rather. I think that's kind of like the mistake a lot of people will make where they're trying to toe the line between compete now and going a little bit younger. But I would have rather just go full on, get the best guy. Oh, and there goes my guy, Şengün.
Yeesh.
With the Chet Holmgren team, so obviously going young.
Fair. All right, Chicago, I see you.
Jaren Jackson Jr. What are your thoughts on Jaren Jackson Jr. in Dynasty Leagues? Obviously out to start this season and had a few injuries.
Yeah, I definitely have him knocked down a little bit just because of that. But man, his fantasy game is hard to ignore. That's for sure. That man's got Mobley and JJJ. Whew.
Yeah, no, blocks are going to be good there. Kevin Durant, picks coming over to me now. Damian Lillard goes off the board, so a few of these win now guys are coming off. I've got to kind of make a decision where I go here. Do I continue to hedge my bets and stay young? Oh, shit, there's shot clock. Who have I got up on the board? I might push the chips in here and let's see if we can get some win now production going. And I'm going to go James Harden there.
Harden over Steph, huh?
Yeah, I'm going Harden over Steph. I've got Harden ahead of Steph in redraft leagues this year. If I'm not mistaken, I think Harden is a little bit younger, although obviously Steph is the better player. But the value of his assists, the free throw percentage are things that I don't think I can get later in drafts. So yeah, those were the two I was considering. Definitely it was Steph and Harden, but I think I just have Harden a little bit ahead in a redraft format, so that was sort of my tiebreaker there. Do you have the other way?
Yeah. No, I think Harden is a good pick for your team specifically. The elite assists to pair with Garland kind of offset. Like Tatum gets 5, so obviously that's good. But being able to just lock those up super early is a great call.
And there goes Jalen Green. He was the other guy I was considering there if I wanted to stay young and have a bit more of a rebuild team. But I have my reservations about Jalen Green and the fact that he doesn't get the defensive stats that I might like. And and there goes LeBron James. Maybe a little early for me for LeBron James. You're up on the clock here. What are you thinking?
I am, man. It's hard because I'm looking at guys like Anthony Davis are still on the board. A guy like Zach LaVine's still on the board. But I'm going to take a guy who I'm pretty sure I am higher on him than most. It's less about his fantasy game and more – I just like him as a player. He's the other jersey hanging up behind me, and that's Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, my guy.
With the turn coming around, I feel okay getting my guy. We will see, man. Ben Simmons to pair with DeJounte and Luka is pretty nasty.
Yeah, I think obviously lots of assists and steals on that team, and maybe looking to punt the free throw percentage as well over there by Noah. I don't mind it. It's obviously you're seeing a lot of orange on the board with a lot of guards going early. So it is valuable to get those assists earlier in drafts. All right, so we're going on the turn now, so it'll be back to a traditional snake draft. Now, I guess just to go back to that third round reversal, I don't know, would you normally do a third round reversal for a 12-team dynasty? I was on the fence about making this one
in a 12-team, I would not, but I also don't think it matters that much because it's 12-team, right?
Yeah.
Like it can go both ways. So I think it's a fun exercise to try it out.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. We've got Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving going off the board. So obviously Todd is looking to be competitive this year. We've got a few teams looking to compete this year. I feel like some of these older guys are going maybe a little bit earlier than I've seen in a few other dynasty drafts, but I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's crazy. In a 12-team league, it maybe gives you the illusion that your team might be better than it actually is. I'm not too sure. Who are you thinking here?
I am going with Kawhi Leonard.
Okay.
My team is kind of young, but I just think Kawhi is being slept on for how good he is. Even missing so many games, he's still an elite player by totals.
Yeah. No, I think he's I don't know. I swing backwards and forwards with Kawhi. I hate his fantasy playoff schedule this year. The Clippers have an atrocious schedule, obviously with his back-to-backs being missed. Oh, and there goes Giddey. He was in my queue. If his playoff schedule was better, I'd be more keen. But yeah, I'm a bit on the fence with Kawhi. I've been saying that he's a good guy to grab in the second round of redraft leagues. In a dynasty, I don't know. I'm not sure how long he's going to remain an injury or a load management sort of a guy.
I'm not really worried about it because, like I said, even if he misses, I think the mark is like 17 games a year. He's still like a top 25 player by totals because he's just that good on a per game basis. So,
all right, I'm going to get my guy here. Again, I've taken James Harden, but I'm still trying to collect some good young players here. So I'm not going to put myself completely in a box, but I am trying to compete this year. But I want to keep a little bit of youth on my side. So I'm going to be going with a guy that I'm really high on. I've spoken about him a lot in the podcast, and that's Jabari Smith from the Houston Rockets. At pick 43, in a punt field goal kind of build, there's honestly, in my opinion, a chance that he gets close to that this season. And just I just really like where he landed in Houston. So I'm going to be taking Jabari there. What are your thoughts on Jabari, and am I just crazily high on him?
I think him getting to 43 this year will depend on how many minutes he gets to play.
Yeah.
And how many shots a guy like Kevin Porter Jr. lets him take. I do really like Jabari, especially if you don't care about field goal percentage early.
Which I do not.
He's pretty excellent. Yeah, right. I can tell.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's a great pick, and he wasn't going to get back to you, so I think you're perfectly fine there.
Yeah, I think, I just really like the guy, and I think I've gotten him in a lot of dynasty drafts so far, and and I think just recently done a Yahoo rankings update, and he moved back to something crazy like 140 or something stupid like that. And I honestly think he's the biggest steal in the draft at the moment if we're going off those kind of rankings. Desmond Bane, Fox, Van Vliet, and Paul George went off the board. Paul George was someone that I definitely considered if I wanted to really just hit home that win now strategy, but I wanted to keep a little bit of youth on my side. Bane goes. Bane pairing with the Holmgren, Morant, and Şengün pick. I think there might have been some other higher upside guys on the table there, but I don't hate it. There goes Levine. Who are you? Any picks that have really stood out to you so far in this mock draft here?
Yeah, there's a couple guys that are still on the board that I think I would easily have taken over a guy like Bane and probably even Jabari. But I understand the logic for you if that's your guy and you're that high on him. I just think, I don't know. I don't know how much upside Bane has. I know people are talking about it like it's potential. He has an all-star upside. I just don't know if I see that. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too pessimistic when it comes to that, but yeah, I'm just not in on all-star Desmond Bane.
Those guys that get a lot of their value from threes and good efficiency, low turnovers. I just knocked them down a bit on my board because it's something that's a bit more replaceable later on in your draft. So I think that a guy like Bane, whilst he ranked really well last year, I think that it almost was as good as it can get. I know he maybe has a bit of minutes upside, but in saying that. I don't see super high usage, and he is not as young as you might think. He was drafted as an older rookie. There goes Jamal Murray, who I was hoping would get to me.
Yeah, I was considering taking Jamal Murray where I took Kawhi just to keep hammering those assists and a decent field goal percentage, but still decent scoring.
Okay. What am I looking at here now? Jimmy Butler is still on the board. I'm not super hyped about his injury history.
I know what I'm doing if I'm you and he's on the board still. I'm just going to wait to see if he gets there. See if we're in the same page.
Keegan Murray.
Don't hate that.
Have a look. Again, I've still got to really decide. I've taken James Harden, so I've kind of made my bed. I want to try and be competitive this year. I want to get up there at pick 54. This guy's not old, but he definitely has some great permanent upside. He fits what I'm trying to do and fits a position of need for my team, which is the center position. So I'm going to go with the Kristaps Porzingis here.
Interesting. I know it fits the field goal percent punt. I think it's a little bit early for him, but his per game stats are just incredible. So I get it.
He could be top 20 this year. And and obviously the injury concern is the issue there. I'm thinking a little bit about my team construction with the center position. I'm going to be competitive in threes. Everyone's hitting threes on my team. I've got some good assists in Garland, Harden, and Tatum. So his big weakness is in assists there. I can sort of cover that. Who would you have gone for my team, just out of curiosity?
I'm not going to speak his name because now I'm thinking he might get to me.
Okay.
But I will say, Styles of Beyond, I'm going to guess he's going with Jaden Ivey. His team is incredibly young. Cade Cunningham, Paolo.
He's got all the exciting picks.
He's going for the extreme youth, and Ivy, I think, would be the next one.
Maxey.
Or Maxey.
There you go.
I was just about to get his name out.
Okay.
Now we've got a punt, threes, and free throws by NBA Fantasy Bible. Be interesting.
He's pretty old. DeRozan or Holiday here, I'm guessing.
I would definitely be looking at Holiday. I know Giannis, Bam, LeBron is enough assists, but in that, Vassell. All right. Guess I'll take Miles Turner. Was the guy who I thought you should have taken.
Yeah, okay. Turner, to me, I guess you could say a pretty similar kind of thing to Porzingis. Maybe the blocks obviously higher, but I think I like a bit more what KP does the rest of the way. And if Turner's blocks go from what was he at, 2.8 to 2, even though that's still elite, it's a big drop in his value. But yeah, definitely not someone... And he's a bit younger than Porzingis. Maybe I should have gone him. I don't know.
I really don't think there's a wrong choice there. Very similar stats. That's like you said. Yeah. Porzingis probably a bit more of a star, but I think Miles's injury history is way blown up. If you consider, Poole.
I wanted him.
I like 61. I don't mind it if you believe that's not bad at all.
He's kind of one of those guys where he's young, but he might have a poor season this year, but in a year or two, he could really blow up. All right, who are you up here again? Right. Back to you.
I am going to go with a guy who I already said, another guy whose jersey is actually on the way, and that is Drew Holiday. I love Drew Holiday. Assists, decent percentages, threes, steals. Can't beat it.
No, I like it. Your team's looking pretty competitive here. I think... without going super old, you've got a really competitive team here. John Collins goes there.
The thing for me right now is just versatility because every single team in the league, if I decide to trade them, is going to be interested in Drew Holiday and Kawhi Leonard. Yeah,
100%. They're versatile enough to be in whatever build, whatever punt strategy. Yeah.
Exactly.
I want to go back to Robert Williams, who went back at the end of the last round. I'm trying to figure out what pick that was.
60.
Yeah. What do you think on that with his injury news?
Kevin
and history?
Porter Jr. at 65. Sorry. Time Lord injury history at 60. obviously he's at the turn. He's not going to get back to him. So if you believe in the per game upside and the health, it's there. But man, there's way too many injuries there for me to be taking him, even in a 12 team where he's my 5th/6th best player.
Yeah. He's someone I really like, but I am scared by those injuries. And they're being pretty cryptic about it with his return.
Yes, they are.
Who do I go here? I had Rozier on my queue. Oh, I don't really know what I'm doing here. 24 seconds. Who do I want? This is going to be a bad pick. I can feel it. Let's stay safe. And, I don't love it at all. Vucevic. Pick 67. Oh, the clock got to me. I think, I don't love it.
Harry going right before you was a big bummer.
Yeah, and I liked Kevin Porter as well. I'm not in love with his free throw percentage, but I think that there's a chance that does come around. I'm pretty strong in that category, so I had an eye on both of those guards before me, and I just didn't like that spot. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I should have done.
69.
I'm not a big Sexton fan.
No,
I'm not a big
at all.
Sexton fan. Even this season, when they're going to be full tank mode in Utah, sure, he'll score a lot of points, but what else is he going to give you?
No.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that pick. Tyler Hero goes. So this is the interesting part of the draft. We're in the 70s now. Michael Porter Jr. was someone I was considering, but didn't love his injury history. I was never a fan of him last year when everyone was getting very excited with him. I was the one guy sort of pushing back, saying, let's not get too excited. And didn't think I'd be that correct, but...
I think especially with KP, I think it's probably a good idea to avoid another...
Yeah.
Like, there's injury prone and then there's injury prone, right? Like, and KP is the second, and I think Michael Porter Jr. falls into that as well.
I agree. Yeah, I don't want to get too carried away with guys who could miss 20 plus a game every season. So I think that ultimately led me the other way. Chris Middleton off the clock here in a team with Embiid, Booker, Beal, Levine. Yeah, I think they're just picking up some good solid veterans there at 72. I think that's pretty good. Obviously, limited time left for him to do a lot, but I think he's a guy that will age pretty well.
Yeah, for sure. He's a guy that doesn't require... He just gets to his spots and makes the hard buckets. Like, that's really all that it is. And his team is extremely well-rounded. I like where it's going.
I'm going to have to get a bit more organized here because those picks are going to come hard and fast around to me. So I'm having a look at who I want here. I probably need to address some more assists again after going hard early in the draft. Oh, have we got an auto? No, just made it in. RJ Barrett. Yuck.
Jaden Ivey coming off the board to Chicago right here.
Dyson Daniels. Oh my God.
He must not know that he's available. And I am
74.
very curious to hear that. That's super early for a guy who's on a team that CJ McCollum just extended for.
I like Dyson, but at 74, that's got it. And then Jalen Duren straight after. Do we know?
Gosh.
Okay. We're getting silly with the rookies here now. I know that rookies carry a lot of value in Dynasty, especially in startup leagues. But if I'm unsure about their path to minutes, like for example, a Jabari Smith, I'm happy to take early because I expect him to be the starter. Basically, opening night, he's going to get a heavy minutes load. I expect him to be good in his rookie season. These other two guys, it could be years before we see regular rotation minutes. And to me, this is far too early for them. Like, do you share the same thoughts on rookies in startups or what do you...
Absolutely. I mean, Dyson Daniels, they have so many guards and they're trying to be good. Like, I think Dyson Daniels is versatile enough. He can do whatever. And then Jalen Duren, they've got Beef Stew. They've got Bagley. They've got Nerlens Noel. Like, obviously, those aren't big names, but they are people who are going to chew into some playing time. You are on the clock, sir.
Okay.
78.
I'm going to be going with this youth movement here that everyone's going. I think this guy has a bit of upside to get to this spot. It might be a stretch this season, but he might not be too far away. It addresses my assists, steals need. I don't care about his field goal percentage. I think he's going to be a better shooter this year. Get on my team,
like
Jalen
it.
Suggs.
I like it. That's who I was taking. I
Yeah.
love that pick. People are way too down on Jalen Suggs for a year where he had a broken thumb and played for a team in the Magic that had a guy like Cole Anthony next to him.
Yeah. And
Like,
I think the Fultz injury, whilst I don't think it's going to derail his season, I think it just gives him a little bit of extra confidence to start this year. I like him paired along with Paolo Banchero. I think it takes a bit of the pressure off him. His defense was great last year. He was someone I was high on pre-draft. Obviously, a little bit deterred by the shooting, but Ajax goes.
Isaiah Jackson. Man,
Yeah.
I thought for sure I was getting him. I like that pick. 80 is a little bit early, but he wasn't going to get back to you on the way around. I can tell you that.
And he could honestly smash that. He could honestly smash that.
Yes, he could.
Who are you? Look, you're on the clock here again. Here, Kongu goes before, so we've had a bit of a youth movement this round.
Yeah, heavy youth movement. There's a guy that I want. I think I'm gonna do it. Man, this is terrifying. I'm thinking between Lonzo Ball and Jaden Ivey.
Ooh, okay.
Lonzo's knees terrify me, but he is such a good fantasy player that I think I'm gonna risk it here towards the middle because those assists and those steals are too valuable to pass up on. And at pick 82, like there's a lot of value to be had there.
Look, you're on the Ball Boys podcast, so we love all the balls. So we're not going to give you shit on that pick. I am worried about his knees, but he is young enough that even if this season is a bit of a write-off, that he could come back strong and deliver sort of top 50 value in future seasons. So, I really like Lonzo Ball. I had him in a lot of teams last year. He was a bit of a sleeper for me. Obviously, it didn't work out with the injuries, but his fantasy game is very, very friendly. And now I believe you've got both balls. You've got LaMelo and Lonzo. So
I do.
That's got to count for something, right?
LiAngelo's next on a camp deal with
LiAngelo Ball, round 18. Here we go. There's Brunson.
Yeah.
He was the other guy I was considering, Jalen Brunson. I think that's a decent spot for him.
Jalen Suggs is the pick. Brunson at 85, I think that's going to be good until the Knicks get another star. Brunson's fantasy game to get to elite levels is going to require a lot of volume because he's a guy that does not get defensive stats at all. Yeah. So he's going to need to pump that
doesn't
scoring
shoot
up.
threes at a high volume either.
Yep. So,
and if that efficiency
he's a good
falls
player.
Off, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I like him, but he was good last year. I just don't necessarily see the huge breakout this year, but I think he'll be just solid for a little while. Herb Jones went the pick after you. I personally think that's a bit early for Herb. I know he was good as a rookie, and there goes Jaden Ivey. I know Herb Jones was good as a rookie, but I just don't see where he gets better, to be honest.
No, and I think especially with how good Trey Murphy looked in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, I really like Herb. That defense is going to play. He would play on my team no matter what. But that team, they're just packed. They got Zion and just a ton of dudes. All right, here. I am going to put my money where my mouth is when it comes to this player, and that is Jaden McDaniels going at 87. He's a stud. He's going to be right above Miles Turner there on my wall here in a couple days when the jersey gets in, because I have loved Jaden McDaniels from the second he was drafted and thought he went about 15 picks too late.
Now I've been there goes Chris Paul. I was going to take him if he came back to me. I'm a big Jaden McDaniels fan too. Everyone would know who listens to the podcast too. I've slowed down a little bit on his fantasy value as opposed to his real life NBA value. I think he probably exceeds the fantasy element with what he brings to the court. But Larry Markner, that's a good pick there.
A little bit early, but I like his role this year for sure.
Yeah, he's one of those ones where it's hard to project what he's going to look like in a couple of years when the Utah team is all up and about. All right. Sorry, I believe I was mid-sentence there, but I've got to make my pick.
No, you're good. You got 25 seconds. You're good.
Let's have a look. I've got one guy in my queue. Is it too early for him? I'm not too sure. You know what? No, I'm just going to do it. It's not super exciting, but let's go with my Celtics boy, Marcus Smart. Just continuing some more assists and steals. I'm sort of balancing some young guys and some win now production here at 80. What was it? At 91.
91. Yeah.
It's probably not the best pick that I could have made, but I think he fits my build, obviously, and the assists are going to start to get hard to get this
How
year.
are you feeling about him with Brogdon showing up? Do you think they're going to scale back Smart's point guard?
I'm not worried at
role?
all. I don't think so. I think Marcus Smart is so valuable to the Celtics. He has the ability to play multiple positions. He can guard threes. He can guard twos. So he's going to get his 30-plus minutes a night. I'm not worried about that. I think Gallinari being injured also helps that as well because the trickle-down effect with Brogdon getting more minutes and Smart can play up. I think Smart is just that valuable to the Celtics that he's going to get his 30 no matter what.
D'Angelo Russell just went off the board at 94, and that's who I thought you were going to take.
He was definitely one I was looking at. I was looking at him. I don't know. Maybe it's the Celtics in me. Tari Eason. Oh, you know these are the guys that listen to my podcast because I love me some Tari Eason. But yeah, bit early again for me. Similar kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, he is the guy that took Dyson Daniels in the round before, so we're really getting ready for 2026 here. But yeah.
I mean,
I love me Tyrese, though.
It fits the team. It really does. So, and I don't say that in a condescending way. It really does just fit the team.
But do you think you could have got him maybe a round or two later? Yeah, that's the only thing I would say.
You're stripping all of the value.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you want to go get your guy, go get your guy. But, don't love that.
No, I think you definitely could have got it.
PJ Washington.
PJ Washington's an interesting one for me. He's still only 24 years old. Where do you see his season this year? Obviously, with the Miles Bridges stuff going on, do you think he could be a bit of a breakout, or what do you see his trajectory looking over the next few years?
PJ is a guy that it doesn't seem like the Hornets have been super interested in investing in, and that kind of scares me. He's a guy who can play small ball five, but is also terrible defensively with that. So like you can play that, but it's kind of a detriment to your team. That's James Wiseman just goes to the team that took Tari Eason. So they're going super young. And I like that pick actually. PJ Washington, I think he's going to have a really good year this year, but I'm not sure about his projection moving forward as like a for sure starter getting 32 minutes a night. I don't think he hits that.
Yeah. I think he's, it's a hard one to project. So did you say you liked James Wiseman?
I do. I think I like him at that spot for that team specifically.
Yeah.
You've got Chet, you got Şengün, you got Dyson, you got Eason, and then Wiseman. I think there's a lot of upside there with Wiseman. I think there's a couple other guys I would have taken, but again, go get your guy.
I'm not a big Wiseman fan as a lot of people. CJ McCollum went. He's someone I probably should have taken ahead of Marcus Smart.
I probably would have with the extension in New Orleans.
Yeah. I'm a little worried about his free throw percentage, though. Like, he was one of those guys that randomly free throws fell off a cliff last year, and we've seen that happen with a few guys. Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, two guys that come to mind. And CJ, it was the entire season. Like, it wasn't just a small sample size. So I wonder if he's going to be a sub 70% free throw shooter again this year, or if that's just like a random blip. So that was something that I found curious here. I've got a guy that I want to come to me. Okay, sweet. I think he's going to be here. So he's not the youngest guy, but he's in his fourth year with the Jay Crowder news, and I need a forward. I'm a bit light on forwards. He's going to give me some good stats here. I'm going to go with Cam Johnson in this pick at pick 102. I think he's in for a big year. He should start.
Yes.
And I've recently moved him up my rankings.
Yeah. He's a guy that I think is really sliding in some dynasty startup drafts just in terms of value because people haven't really projected forward on what he is. He's older for a fourth-year player for sure. Yes. I think he's 26 turning 27. Yes. So, oh my gosh, Trey Jones at 104. Sheesh.
Don't know if I'm about that.
Benedict Mathurin going off the board right before I pick. I was going to take a fan pick there, but I did that last round. Yeah, do not like Trey Jones at 104 at all, actually.
I don't think he's the point guard of the future. I mean, he might be good this year, but even then, that's question mark. I like Bones going there. But yeah, Trey Jones, I'm not 100% sold on them, and as neither are the Spurs, I don't think so.
No, and that's the thing is, are the Spurs heavily invested in him? No. The answer is no. I'm going to take a guy here that, did he already go? Did Keldon Johnson already come off the board?
Oh, yeah, a while ago, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. I was going to say, I didn't have him marked off in my in my sheet. And I was like, man, that seems odd that he's still available.
12 seconds.
All right. Just going sturdy here. Panicked because of the sound in my ears through the headphones. Went Tobias Harris. Just another very well-rounded player. Definitely would not have done that in a normal draft where I had extra time and I didn't spend 25 of the 45 seconds looking for a guy who got drafted.
That's a shot clock pressure right there. I've got to let you know, Rat, I'm not a big Tobias Harris fan. I think he's he's in for a bit of a bust kind of a year this year. When James Harden came around, his stats fell off a cliff, and
yeah.
No, I mean, maybe he'll be better.
I would not advocate for Tobias Harris where I took him. That's who I probably should have taken, is Yusuf Nurkic. It was a guy I did not have in my queue because I was thinking that I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. Messed up. That was a spur of the moment mistake.
That's all right. The shot clock's getting to a few of us. I've definitely had a few regretful picks.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right. Well, you've got a chance to redeem yourself here at the next pick. So we're just about to finish off our starting roster spots now. So pick number 10. Who are you eyeing off now, and what are you looking for on the board?
I took Miles Turner and let him be the only player on my team that gets blocks, really, besides Jaden McDaniels. And so I'm kind of looking to get some blocks. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with that. Because there aren't a ton of players here that don't completely destroy my free throw percentage, but a guy that I'm just going to take here because I think it's good value at 111, not going to age well, but that is Draymond Green, giving me some assists, some steals, some blocks, absolutely 0 points, and the percentages are irrelevant because he only takes like 6 shots a game.
Doesn't really matter. Yeah, there's no such little volume. I think that's, what was that pick, 111? Yep, that's good value, especially for this year, perhaps even the year after that. Like, I don't think he's going to be someone who falls off a cliff. He's a really smart, excellent player. It'd be interesting to see if I think he's been asking for the max from the Warriors, whether they do that, and if they do call his bluff, if he does walk and go to a different team, I'd almost be interested to see that. But I think that's a fine pick there, especially if you're looking to compete this season.
And I just think he's a guy that's just gonna have the same role no matter what team he's on. Like he's gonna
Scott Suggs. Okay, hold on.
That's a mistake.
I'm gonna have to pause that there. Undo the last pick.
How was that guy the top of the queue? Like, I don't understand about that.
Let's hope he did that one. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure how that was the auto draft there. Maybe. Yeah, maybe he thought it was Jalen Suggs and had that on the queue. I don't know.
I don't see how. I'm extremely confused there. Do you just want to pick a guy for him? And
has this guy left? Or I mean, he was making picks last round.
He's not in. Yeah, he was definitely making picks. He picked Bones Highland at about,
which I thought was a good pick.
It was about 100. A little bit early, but a guy you're not going to get. So,
all right, you can stick with Julius Randle, which actually annoys me because I was hoping he'd make it back to me. But you can have that guy. No one's getting stuck with Scott Suggs. I don't even know who that is.
Nope.
Now I've got to regroup because I did want Julius Randle on my side there. Coming up to me in a couple of picks. What am I lacking here? I feel like I'm pretty strong in assists, steals, and threes. My rebounds are pretty light, although not horrible. Free throws is definitely pretty strong. I'm liking how my team is set up. I might just continue to build off some just good value at the moment, not really hunting anything specific, because I think I'm somewhat balanced. Maybe I can get another good forward that fits my build. Jakob Poeltl went there. I think that's good value on Jakob Poeltl. If this team is punting free throws, which it looks like they might be, Gary Trent, I think that's a good pick for Gary Trent. He's still really young, which I feel like I keep forgetting.
Yep. Seems like a guy you just assume he's 27 and he's just 24. So not 3-year difference is quite a bit in my eyes.
Who should I be looking at here? 16 seconds. All right, let's go with a guy that I just really like. 115. Let's go with a big boy, Isaiah Hartenstein at 115. I know he's in New York. I know he's behind Mitchell Robinson, but Mitchell Robinson I don't think is the best player. He's not the most durable player. He has foul issues. If he gets 24 minutes a night, he beats that number. So he could do that in a timeshare. If Mitchell Robinson goes down and he gets 28 a night, he absolutely smashes this. And he's a good center that's going to give me assists, steals, percentages are solid, rebounds and blocks will be good. So, but just a bit of an upside swing there for me that could pay off this year.
Yeah, I like it. Definitely agree with you there on the Mitchell Robinson. I feel like he just is what he is. He's 24 and a half, just signed his second contract, but I am not optimistic about just what he is as a player.
Goes. Yeah, I mean, the thing that gives me a pause is that obviously they paid Mitch Robinson to be the starter. They paid Hartenstein as sort of a backup minute a night role. But I think that, there's still enough room for those expectations to change, especially once you see him in your system and you see the juxtaposition between the two players. I'm just kind of banking on Hartenstein being, in my opinion, the better player here. I wanted to touch on Shaedon Sharpe there, who went the pick after me. He's obviously untapped upside. We don't really know what he's going to do. Where do you sort of see him sitting in a startup dynasty draft? Is this about the right spot, or would you have him a bit later?
I think it's about right, just because we have no idea what he is and where he's going to be. But I will say that the Blazers hired a scout. What was his name? The guy who was the draft guru over
I don't know his name, but I think I know the guy I'm talking about. Yeah.
I'm blanking so bad, so I apologize to your listeners. That's great podcasting. But regardless, the Blazers hired this guy who has been watching film of every prospect for years, and they took Shaedon Sharpe. So if they feel that confident about it, I feel like it's okay to take that and weigh it appropriately.
Yeah, I think he'll also get rotation minutes this year. It'll be low backup kind of minutes, but it's a shame we didn't see him at Summer League. I mean, of anyone that we wanted to watch, he was the one. And, of course, he injured himself in the first 5 minutes there. So that sucks, but it could work out at that pick. You could have some serious upside.
Ooh. Speaking of not the point guard of the future, Emmanuel quickly just went off the board at 123.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I think if it wasn't Tibbs coaching, it'd be better. I like the pick of Brendan Clark before him a little bit more. I think that's good value at 123. I think there's a chance, and I've been saying this a few times on my pod, I think there's a chance that when Jaren Jackson Jr. comes back, that Steven Adams is the one that moves to the bench and not Brandon Clark.
I think that is going to be the case when Brandon Clark extends before the mid-October deadline.
Yeah, okay.
He's good. Brandon Clark is good.
He is.
And he fits very, very well with JJ.
He's a little older than I thought. I remember I checked his age the other day. I was expecting him to still be, but I think he's like 26. So he's not super young, which for some reason I thought he was younger than that, but not quite.
No, he's not the youngest, but okay, he's all right. All right, what are you thinking? 40 seconds?
I think I'm just going to get some good value on the board here. There's no one I really like in terms of a young sleeper. A lot of young guys are going off the board, so I'm just going to be picking up the pieces here with a Klay Thompson.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, I think obviously I'm already really strong in threes, but his points are going to help me. His free throw percentage is going to be really helpful if I want to take some guys who aren't the best free throw guys later in the draft. So uninspiring, but I think at 126, when Clay was a top 70 guy coming back from his injury last year. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, for sure. Just to clarify, the run of picks just went. It was Mark Williams, Moses Moody, Cole Anthony, and Brandon Clark at the turn. And then Emmanuel Quickly, Jalen Williams, Mo Bamba, and Jeremy Sohan before Mitch took Clay Thompson, which, again, I like that pick. Again, just good value all the way across the board.
Yeah, I think he just was obviously the guy that stood out to me as sort of the best player on the board. Yes, he's older, but my team will be pretty competitive this year with a few guys to sort of help me out later in the future. Who are you thinking, or who are you hoping for to get to you in after this next pick?
I don't like how my team is shaping up with regards to points, and my field goal percentage isn't as high as I would want it to. I'm just kind of lacking the big man stats, right? Like field goal percentage, blocks, rebounds, and then my points are just a little bit low. I don't know what my options for that are, to be honest. At this point in the draft, the points are definitely something that are scarce around these parts. But we will see if my guy is there.
I think this will be an auto pick here, so I assume he will be.
Yeah. I am leaning Kyle Kuzma here.
Okay, yeah.
I like Kuzma. He's a better real life player than what I think people give him credit for. Really good rebounder, decent scorer with okay efficiency, not great, but just a guy that I just like. I think he's just a good player.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Kyle Kuzma, but I think at this point it's really solid. Yeah. So I think, especially, I'm a little worried about how he fits in with Bradley Beal back in. His assists last year randomly spiked.
Well, it wasn't random because Beal was out for 50 games of the year.
But I wasn't expecting Kuzma to be the one that stood up and started averaging 5 assists a night in the second half.
For sure.
But I think that's good value. At obviously pick 131, that's really good. And I do also really like Vanderbilt there. And did you want Isaac to come back to you?
I did. I was taking Jonathan. I was just seeing how far he would fall. I considered him with Kuzma, but the points really threw me off.
I'm off Isaac. I used to really like him. I really liked him before his injury. And even after the injury, I thought, okay, yeah, he'll be out a year, but he'll be back. But there's just something weird going on there that I just don't like the feel of. He's I don't think he's going to be prioritized or valued in Orlando. Maybe if he gets traded, things change. But yeah, the fact that they said that they hope to have him play this season, that's what is that quote?
I don't know what that's about. I don't know what you do with that.
Yeah,
Clint Capella off the board at 134. That's
enormous
another guy
value.
I was leaving alone and just seeing how far he was going to fall.
Enormous value.
That's fantastic. So I am going to address my rebounds here a little bit more. Another guy who I'm not sure how much. Actually, I'm going to pivot. I'm pivoting because I want this guy. I think he's going to be very good, and I think people need to know about him, and that is Chris Duarte for my Indiana Pacers.
Right, yeah.
I think he could lead the team in scoring this year.
Really? Ahead of Tyrese Halliburton?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
I do not think Tyrese Halliburton will be a 20 and 10 guy.
I don't think he will be either, but
it's just not in his nature. I just really don't think it is. And so, and that's a great, I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. I love Tyrese Halliburton, but somebody's going to have to take the shots. And I think it's going to be Mathurin and Duarte that lead that charge.
Yeah, interesting. I think obviously at pick 130, 136, he'll comfortably be that easily, and he'll be that for the next 5 or 6 years. I don't know how much fantasy upside he has, but he does seem like a very safe pick at this point in the draft. But if you're projecting his points to be up there, then it probably exceeds what I expect from him.
He had 1.1 steals and 27 minutes a game last year as well. So that's the other guy I was considering. I was going to take Josh Hart, but decided to go for a Pacer instead because I can't help myself sometimes.
And that's part of what Dynasty is all about. You're stuck with these guys for a long while. You do want to have an element of players that you like to watch and players from your team. Now, I'm a little stuck as to where to go here. Do I just continue to grab guys who are going to help me win this year? I think that's where I should go. And I think for me, let's go this guy. I was tossing up between Kyle Lowry and Al Horford, the two guys at the top of the board there. I've gone Al Horford, one, because he's a Celtic, and two, because I think getting bigs and forwards and centers in the build that I've got is a little bit harder to manage. With the Robert Williams news, I expect him to be playing more games, more minutes than previously, so I have bumped him up my rankings a little bit in the last couple of days. Obviously, he's super old, and he might be out of the league next year, but there's just not a lot of guys left that I'm super high on in terms of their future upside. So I'm happy to just take the guy that I think is going to help me the most right now.
Mr. Black.
Yeah, there goes the man, the Miles Bridges man. I mean, look, we won't shy away from talking about him, but what are your thoughts about taking Miles Bridges at all, and especially in a Dynasty League point of view?
I personally would not roster him.
Yeah.
It's just something I am not going to tolerate that. And I like looking at my roster, and that's not a guy I want to look at on my roster. But in the 140s, that is a reasonable range to take him. These are a lot of flyers. And so that's a pretty high upside flyer, even if there's a chance he doesn't actually play another NBA game.
Yeah, I mean, I think I listened to, I think it was a podcast, I think Matt Lawson was talking about, there's obviously two ways you can approach a Dynasty or a Fantasy League. You can approach it to have fun and enhance your experience watching basketball, and I agree with that. I think that when you have a player like that, I don't want to be rooting for him to get back onto the court to help my fantasy team. It's just not something that I'm about, but if you're strictly about the wins and losses, it could end up being a good thing from that perspective. But yeah, me personally, I'm the same as you. I don't think I'd be drafting a player like that. And there goes Zubac at 144. I think that's awesome value for Zubac. I probably should have taken him instead of Horford with a bit more youth on his side, but whilst his upside isn't super high, I think his minutes are going to rise this season, and he'll be definitely a solid player. Mm-hmm. How long that lasts, I'm not too sure.
Yep, that's the thing. I don't know how that would go, to be honest. I don't know if they believe that he's the answer there. You know what I mean?
In saying that, I don't think the Clippers have very much flexibility to upgrade his position, at least in the next year or two. So
no, they don't.
I do expect him to sort of stick around at least for a couple of years as the starting center. So
has some security in that part of it for sure.
Yeah. Trey Murphy is another guy that I was hoping would get back to me. Like we sort of said before, he played really well in the playoffs, and I think he's got a bit of upside. Fantasy game is decent. What are your thoughts on Trey Murphy and the Pelicans this year?
I love Trey Murphy. I actually said last year that heading into the season, my hot take was that Trey Murphy was going to start for the Pelicans before the year was up.
Right.
Obviously I didn't guess that Herb Jones was going to be an all defense level talent,
yeah.
But had he not been, I think Trey Murphy would have been starting for the Pelicans before the year is over. Great size, great shot, great defense, really versatile player, and just a guy I'm very high on. I don't know about the fantasy game, so inside 150 is a little bit rich for me, but hey, he's a 3-and-D wing. That's a guy who's going to play no matter what.
Poku and Isaiah Livers. Damn it, Jalen Johnson went. He's a guy that I like. That hurts. Whilst I'm looking to make my pick here, I wanted to get your thoughts on Poku, because I've heard you speak about him a little bit on your podcast before, and everyone gets very excited about him. But as I understand, you're not his biggest fan. Is that right?
No, he's just a project on a team full of projects, and he's been there the longest and hasn't made hardly any strides to being an actual impactful NBA player. Yeah. I don't care about muscle watch for him. They drafted Usman Jang. They have Chet Holmgren. They have Jalen Williams. They have Darius Baisley still, which maybe he's in the same boat, but I just do not see Poku as an NBA player. And the fact that he has any value to me rides solely on the fact that everybody else seems to think he has value. Yeah,
legit. And obviously, I think in this league, it doesn't appear that people think that he has value. I mean, I think it's okay at that kind of a spot. I was a fan of his in his rookie year. Like, his statistical translations came across really well, but after 1 year seeing him on the court, it was pretty clear that Yeah, he wasn't really up to scratch in terms of NBA ability.
No.
I took Nasir Little with my pick there. He's a guy that I'm, mildly keen on this year in terms of he's got a bit of a position battle with he and I'm blanking right now, Josh Hart at the starting roster spot for the Portland Trailblazers. Had a bit of a stretch last year where he was playing really, really well. Portland seem to sometimes find these guys out of nowhere and develop them into good NBA players. So I'm hoping that Nasir Little is the next version of that. Again, I'm not super confident that it is, but someone who I do like here. You're on the clock here after Kyle Lowry goes. What are you thinking with this pick?
I don't really know. I was kind of leaning Lowry. I think I'm going to go with a guy who is very well-rounded and I think is underrated in that he will not be as impacted by his new destination as what some might think. Okay. And I will take Malcolm Brogdon of your Boston Celtics.
Okay. I thought it was going to be someone else that I wanted, but no, Brogdon I think is fine at this pick here. So
I will have another chance to take the guy that you want. So
I think the Gallinari news helps him. I think the fact that Marcus Smart is versatile enough to play different positions helps him as well. So I was initially pretty down on him, but I've come back a little bit on Malcolm Brogdon. Injuries are still a concern. I think he's just going to lack usage on this team as well compared to Indiana. So, I think just all of that, he's not going to be super upsidey, but he'll still have value for a few seasons, and I think that's a fine spot to get him. Ochai,
156. Yeah,
exactly. Agbaji goes a pick after you. I'm not a huge Agbaji fan.
Not for fantasy.
Laravia. I am a fan of Laravia though. I think that's an okay spot to sort of get him. Memphis, I don't know. Their roster's a bit weird though.
Yeah, it seems like they're going to have a timeshare for that spot. Ooh, Cam Thomas at 158.
All right, who are you going here?
I don't know for sure. I think I'm going to go with a bit more of an upside pick here for fantasy. I might actually change my mind. So I'm choosing between a couple guys who are all 21 years old, and I don't know what to make of this player, but I'm very high on what he does, and I hope that he can start, and that's Zaire Williams at pick 159.
Yeah, I don't mind it. He was someone that I wasn't keen on before the draft, but played better than I expected. I think there's definitely some upside in that selection there. Where do you see him fitting into their rotation this year?
I mean, with JJJ out, I think he's going to get a chance to start.
Yeah.
They just don't have a whole lot of other options. Right? By default, he is one of the best wings on the team. Laravia might step in there, but I think they want to see what Zaire can do.
Yeah. So the starting lineup would be then like a Morant, Bane. You don't think Brooks gets that job first?
Well, Brooks would start at the 3, Zaire start at the 4. Who's starting at the 4 without JJJ?
Clark, right?
You're going to start Clark and Adams?
Clark and Adams together. That was in my head what I assumed that they would do, but they might opt for a bit more spacing.
Yeah, I don't know. If it was me, I would sit Dylan Brooks with that team.
If it was me, I would too, but yeah.
If it was me, I wouldn't have Dylan Brooks on my team, but yeah. Just a guy I don't like. Josh Christopher at 162. That is way too high for me.
Yeah, I find it hard to peg Josh Christopher.
Well, he at best he's the third guard, but they also just took Ty Washington and traded to get him.
There's too many other guys in that Houston Rockets that are just going to be ahead of him in terms of the pecking order.
Yep, exactly.
I'm going to go with another pretty boring pick here. I've got him in a lot of drafts so far. Monty Morris is going to be my dude here at 163. I think he's going to be pretty close to a top 100 production. Good assists, low turnovers, percentages are going to be nice. Pretty boring pick, but he's not super old. And I think he's just going to be a good solid pick here. And I think as boring as he is, he'll help my team. And again, I'm running dry on a lot of guys. Obviously, the rookies and people who obviously listen to my podcast a lot are picking the guys that I like as young guys. So, struggling to find super high upside guys that I like. So just going to keep picking off the good players where I can. Paul Reed goes after me. He's a bit of a hot name in Dynasty landscape. What do you think? Obviously, the Montrezl Harrell signing kind of sucks for Reed, especially for this season. I'm starting to wonder if we'll ever really see him get legitimate minutes as much as we would like to. What are your thoughts on B-Ball Paul?
Yeah, I'm just not sure we're going to see it. That's really all that there. I like him. I think the fantasy stat set is pretty impressive. I don't think we're going to see it, and that's a bummer.
Yeah. I've been hoping for it, but I'm starting to lose faith. I thought he might be okay as a backup center behind Joel Embiid. Maybe gets a few minutes at the 4 with only old man PJ Tucker and then Tobias Harris in front of him. But yeah, just the fact that they went out and signed Montrezl Harrell just tells me the confidence that they have in him is not very high. So
late in the off season too. That's not always the best sign.
Yeah, it's sort of okay. We need something to do with this position here. We're getting deeper into the doldrums of the draft here, but we've still got a few more round picks to go. So we're starting to look at some real upsidey stash guys at the moment. Still a few guys here that I like. Is there anyone that you're eyeing off? I mean, not to sort of, I'm obviously picking before you, but is there anyone here that you're eyeing off, but to get back to you?
There's two guys that I was considering at my last pick that I'm kind of surprised are still there. I think I'm generally higher on one of these guys than the other, than the majority of other people. So we'll see what happens. Aaron Gordon was one that I was considering. Just a well-rounded player. I don't think he's fantastic at anything, and his role's going to go down, but is what it is. Garuba going, that's banking a lot on Eurobasket, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he did look good, but yeah, I don't think he's going to have a big role, especially, I mean, if we're all very excited about Şengün and it works out for him, it might not ever eventuate into something. Jose Alvarado. Okay. Guess we're really desperate for some steals.
I guess there's a lot of other options that you could have gone with than actually been a player that might play this year, but
Grant
sure enough.
Oh shit, it's up to me. Okay. I'm really starting to run out of guys that I think are going to help me contribute this season. So let's go with someone with a little bit more upside. I don't love it, but I don't think I'm going to love many of the picks from this point on. So I'm going to go with a Denny Avdia.
That's my guy.
So I think there's a chance he steps in and starts at the 3, potentially, or the 4.
You don't have to convince me. That's who I was taking.
Oh, yeah?
You're
big on Avdia?
I love me some Denny. Again, versatile, plays on and off the ball, their best defender. And he should be in there. His shot is a question mark, but at this point at 175, I would have been fine taking him 30 picks ago. It just seems like there's so many people that just keep falling that it's hasn't made it a priority. I should have taken him over Zaire, but I believe in Zaire getting more opportunity.
Right.
And that's the hard part about this. Is like, okay, well, I believe in a stat set, or I can believe in an opportunity. So
yeah, while you get ready for your pick here, obviously there's going to be another auto pick here by Fantasy Bible here. But just to touch on Danny Avdia, he reminds me a bit. I can't remember who we said about before, but kind of just a guy that I feel like the team hasn't been prioritizing maybe as
DJ
much
Washington.
as they should. Yeah, that was the guy we were talking about. Even though I like him, I think he's got a bit of upside compared to a few of the other guys that seem to get minutes in front of him. I hope that changes. There was a little bit at the end of last season with them running, like they said they were going to run some point Avdia. Didn't really eventuate in any high amounts of volume, but I do still think that there's some value there. And like you said, if they do turn that corner and prioritize them a little bit more, we could see some good things from Denny. Who are you looking at here, mate?
I am taking my Lonzo Ball insurance in Dalen Terry, who I think
I like it.
Behind Levine and Lonzo Dalen Terry is the third best guard on that team.
I like it. And the other thing I like about him is he's got forward size, so he's versatile and he doesn't have to get minutes at the 1 or the 2. He could play some 3.
Exactly right.
So,
and have you looked at the Chicago Bulls roster lately? Do you know how many threes they have?
Not many at all.
Who?
Yeah, it's
DeMar DeRozan and Patrick Williams.
It's pretty barren there. So, no, I like it. I've got him in a couple of 30-team leagues, and I'm hoping for the. Well, I guess I'm not hoping for the same thing, but I'm hoping he can crack the lineup, and he does have a friendly fantasy game without a lot of scoring. And you're back on the clock again.
I don't like my options here, to be honest with you.
Starting to dry up.
I'm going to take a guy that I would not recommend at this point, but I need points. Actually, you know what? No, we're going to pivot, and we're going to take a guy who, if I don't care about field goal percentage, I am psyched to have him on my team, and that's John Wall.
Right. What are you expecting from John Wall this season?
I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be better than Reggie Jackson. I think he could easily. I don't know. It depends on. I don't know who's going to start for that team.
I don't think anyone knows. I don't think the coach knows.
Yeah, I think Wall could end up 15 points, 6 assists, a steal, and like 0.7 blocks this year in like 28 minutes a game, something like that. I think he's good. I think he's got a lot of basketball left in him. So, yeah,
it's a swing for the fences kind of pick, and it could definitely work out. I personally think Reggie Jackson starts, but it almost doesn't matter. Yeah, it almost doesn't matter. Yeah, we just haven't seen John Wall play in a long time, so
yeah,
I don't really know what level he's at. All right, it's coming up to me again. All right, I've got a few guys on my board here. Jeremiah Robinson Earl was not one of them. Okay, who do I want to prioritize here? How crazy do I want to get? Let's bank on the fact that... no, hold on. I'm going to counter your Dale and Terry pick with...
Which one?
With another...
Which guard are you going with?
I'm going to go with Ayo Dosunmu there.
That is the right call.
I think... Whilst I'm not a huge Dosunmu fan, he needed a lot of minutes last year to put up value, but in saying that, the assists were nice, the steals were okay, and there's just a lot of injury concerns over at Chicago, so the opportunity could be there. I would have preferred Dale and Terry, but I think Dosunmu is still okay.
Another guy, oh man, Rashawn. I think I accidentally marked him off, because that's a guy I would have taken, Rashawn Holmes.
Yeah.
Killian Hayes going in the 190s. I think that's a little bit too low. I don't think Jaden Ivey will impact him that much. He'll still have value in assists and steals, but I get it.
Yeah. I used to be a big Killian Hayes fan. I think I had him like top 5 in the draft, and I've got a bit of egg on my face now. I'm ready to let that go personally.
Yeah, understandable.
What about Precious Achiuwa? I've had a few. I mean, I don't know if you find this in with your podcast, but I always have some very passionate Raptors fans commenting on a lot of my videos. And Precious Achiuwa is a guy that I've had a few people mention to say that he's going to be really big this year. There is an outside chance that he starts and someone like a Gary Trent Jr. goes to the bench. So I actually think that's a pretty good pick there by Mr. Black. What are your thoughts on Precious Achiuwa in the 180s?
I don't know what to make of him.
Yeah.
And I think that's really all it comes down to is I don't know what to make of him, but I trust the Raptors. That's really all that it comes down to for me. So I don't mind the pick at all. Yeah, I mean, the Raptors obviously are renowned for their player development and doing well at turning guys that we wouldn't typically think of as a good NBA player into something. So at some point you just put your trust in the team and just go with them. All right, last couple of rounds here, really into the deep depths of the fantasy draft board here. Pick 193, Thomas Bryant just went, Oladipo just went. I think that's fine. There's a little bit of Kevin Looney finally comes off the board. Derek White. Yeah, I think he'll still be okay.
Again, it's hard to throw any shade on a lot of these picks here at the 190s.
Getting to this point of the draft.
Yeah, we're sort of just throwing things up against the wall and hoping they stick. Blake Wesley goes. He's someone who I think is at least a little bit interesting. I've got his teammate on my queue here with Malachi Brennan. Do you, out of the Spurs draftees, do you have a preference between Brennan and Wesley?
I think Wesley. I would take Wesley before I took Trey Jones.
Trey Jones or Malachi Brennan was the other guy they drafted?
Both, but I just mean Trey Jones went so early. I would take Wesley to be someone that the Spurs invest in
he's
over Trey Jones.
A bit more of a future. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I agree with that.
I like him. I like him a lot. Played for Notre Dame, which is a Indiana college. So love following guys like that. No, I just think he's good. I just think he's going to be a really, really good player in the league.
I think, again, I'm taking some pure upside here. I'm going with Ty Washington for Houston Rockets, banking on the fact that maybe Kevin Porter Jr. doesn't work out as a starting point guard, or even in a backup role, that his assists and steals can be valuable enough to, get me some good contributing stats. So Ty is my pick there. All right, coming around to you in a few picks' time. Who are you eyeing off here?
I've got a guy who is vying with Jonathan Isaac for the least healthy player in the NBA right now. And so I don't know how good of a pick it is, but at the same time, we are getting to the 200 range. And at this point, I'm just looking for guys who have some serious upside. Tony's Tigers, OPJ, interesting. Otto Porter Jr. off the board at pick 200. Two guys that are not online right now, so I think I'm safe to say I'm taking TJ Warren.
Okay,
a guy who is, he said his foot is healed, but he's not cleared, which is not what you like to hear.
Pretty concerning.
But he's 29. He just turned 29, and he's a forward that is an efficient scorer and was a good defender in Indiana. And that's just a guy that I think is going to have a role. And I need some more points. I need some more field goal percentage. Jalen Noel, great pick.
I like that. I think he's a bit of a forgotten guy some of the time. He's a bit underrated in my opinion, and should have opportunity this year with the Minnesota Timberwolves trading a lot of their depth for Rudy Gobert.
Yep, that's exactly right.
All right, so this auto draft's probably going to be a Mike Conley pick here. So you're going to get your guy.
Actually be Pat Bev.
Oh, right.
Looking at the Fantrax rank.
Yeah, I wasn't scrolled all the way up. So you're going to go with TJ Warren there.
I think so. Yeah.
And yeah, so do you think he's probably not going to start, will he?
I think he could. But I don't know for sure, just because they have so much versatility on that team that I don't know what to make of it. I'm considering Marvin Bagley here instead. Now that I'm looking at it, I don't think Marvin Bagley's a good player. I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take Marvin Bagley. I just can't. Even in a mock, I just can't. Yeah. I don't actually believe in Marvin Bagley. So even in my second to last pick, it's not a good one.
He might not even get to this ranking with 26 points a night. He just does nothing outside of points and rebounds, and even that's just whatever.
Which is two stats that I need, but still, I just don't believe in him as a player.
I mean, there's something to be said about the fact, obviously, Detroit seemed to believe in him. Don't know why. I don't know why they're not prioritizing players like a Jalen Duren, but yeah.
I have no idea.
I think that will... Chicago. Blikus wants to do another round. He's got plenty of players to pick.
I've got
this man's going deep.
15 in my queue, so I'm used to 30 team, and I think Chicago is as well.
Yeah,
and so it's funny to see all of these guys still available. That I'm like, man, I would roster 15 more guys and be psyched about it.
I think I've got about 5 in my queue, but we'll see. We'll see who comes back to me. Who are you hoping to get to? Obviously, you're on the next pick. Who are you looking at?
I think I'm going Brook Lopez, a guy who is going to be
I would advise you don't.
A really good player for the next year, maybe 2. Old guy, back injury, not excited about that, but he's going to be impactful this year for sure.
Dang it. All right. He was on the top of my queue. I probably should have taken him last pick, but that's all right.
You went for some upside with Ty, which with this league, it actually maybe not, because all the people who are interested in young players have just taken young players the entire time.
They've gone way earlier.
You can't even flip them for a vet that can contribute.
Let's have a look at my team. Is there any? I feel like my team's looking pretty. I think we could be pretty competitive right away. And we've got some young guys.
Yeah.
Young guys in there to insulate my future a little bit. Haven't completely sold the farm, but I definitely expect to be right up the top there and competing for the first year title. What do you think about your team as I prepare for my last pick? How are you thinking you shaped up?
Basketball Monsters projections in their draft tool have you as the second best team and me as the fourth best team. They actually have Tony's Tigers as the best team in the league right now by a fair amount. That's with Steph, Ant, Rozier, Sabonis, Siakam, Butler, J-Val, Buddy, Hart, Hayward. Yeah, so that's just a really, really good team. And I actually hear a baby crying, so since I've made my last pick, I'm going to go ahead and hop off. If that's all right.
Thank you very much, Rhett, for joining us. For anyone who wants to check out your content, just give us a quick plug if you can, and then we'll catch you later.
You find me on Twitter at Rhett_Bauer, RHETT_BAUER. You can find all my stuff there.
Thank you very much, Rhett. And definitely go check out Punt Intended, excellent Dynasty podcast, and it will definitely help you out in that area. Thank you very much, Rhett. I'll catch you later. I'll keep doing this on my own solo, and we'll have my pick now just to finish it off. I'm looking for someone just with a bit of upside. I mentioned his name before, considering between Malachi Brannan and Zeke Naji. I'm not as sold. I know Josh Lloyd's a big Zeke Naji fan, but I'm not as sold. So I'm going to go with Malachi Brannan. He was a guy I liked in the draft this past season. So I almost prefer him over Blake Wesley, but it's a bit of a coin flip. I liked his shooting ability. So I think that's just where I'm going to go here, guys. Let us know what you guys thought of the Dynasty mock draft. First one we've done on the podcast. I hope to do a little bit more Dynasty content coming up. Obviously, I'm doing a lot of Dynasty stuff myself at the moment. If you haven't already checked out on Twitter, I'll be posting a lot of the Dynasty 30 stuff that we're doing. 30 fantasy analysts, all in the same Dynasty league. We're calling it the most competitive Dynasty league ever created. So I had pick 4, got Jason Tatum with my first pick. I'm still waiting for my pick 2. It's a slow draft, so coming back to me hopefully today. So go and check that one out. And then during the season, I hope to do some sort of just Dynasty check-ins, maybe once a week, maybe every couple of weeks, just to sort of give my thoughts on a few guys that we might not normally talk about in a redraft sense. So, and then Will Barton, Yurtsevin go off to finish that one there. So, yeah, as we heard Rhett sort of say, apparently Basketball Monster likes my team as the second best player. I think that I'm very happy with how it's sort of projected out for competitive league-wise. I've got some young guys in Garland, Tatum, Jabari Smith, even players like Suggs, who I got a little bit later, should insulate my future and give me a bit of flexibility if any injuries strike. Bit risky with Porzingis where I took him, but I feel like I'm pretty safe otherwise when it comes to injury history. Maybe some of the older guys on my bench, but in saying that, it's on your bench. They were good value, I think, when I got them. So I think I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. And let me know what you guys think. Would you guys have made any different picks if you were me at any particular point? Let me know. Otherwise, make sure you guys give this video a big thumbs up. Head over to ballboysnba.com. Sign up for our season draft guide today for just $10. Get yourself set for drafts this season. Plenty more content coming, guys. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.